Hey everybody, Kale here. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're joining for the first time, I'm glad you're here. So today we are going to dive a little bit deeper into what we've been talking about in the past few videos. We've been focusing a lot on change and transition and what we're letting go of at this time, what we're releasing, what we're parting ways with. And so for those who may be finding this time of walking away, perhaps of making and or navigating these changes, those who are finding this moment particularly difficult or challenging, we're going to dive into that a little bit more. So I've actually channeled some questions and then pulled the cards accordingly. Okay, and so just to set the stage, we are in the waning gibbous phase now. We'll be there through about the 11th, depending on where you live in the world, but approximately March 11th. And this particular phase is more so about reflection and release and gratitude, surrendering, letting go, reflecting and introspection around the past couple weeks, what's been going on in the past couple weeks. So it really fits really beautifully with what we're going to focus on here today. Okay, and so for those who don't know, the tarot deck I use is Tarot of the Witch's Garden by Sasha and Nataša Ilínčíć. Okay, all right. So again, the focus here is around kind of what can assist us with moving forward and releasing at this time, what can assist us even more specifically with parting ways. We've gotten the guidance around making that change, and now it's like, okay, but how can we do that, or how can we move through what may be holding us back from doing that, and what's perhaps making this hard for some. So the first question that came through to ask was, what is holding me back? Okay, the first question is, what is holding me back? And we draw a 10 of Pentacles. Okay, it's a bit windy. I'm going to try to speak a little bit louder. Hopefully that's working. We get the 10 of Pentacles with what's holding me back. And immediately what came through for me upon seeing this card was the fear of loss. The fear of loss, the fear of changing relationships. The loss of what we've put so much time and effort and energy into cultivating, into building, into sustaining for ourselves and in our lives, and that this losing this, and perhaps even the fear of like wasted time, which is nothing is wasted, but that fear of that is making it really difficult to walk away. Okay, we've also got fear of loss of relationships in general. So it could be whether that's family, whether that's friends, whether that's coworkers, however that resonates for you. Maybe this change is affecting children, pets, animals. Something here that's you don't want to lose this. That fear is holding you back a bit. Loss of purpose, perhaps for some. Fearing this loss of purpose and maybe not anchoring in and really rooting into like what you are moving towards, and so that loss of purpose or that loss of role and identity is feeling really heavy and really strong right now. And so that may be here what's been holding you back from making this change, from parting ways, from making this move. Okay, and we've got like just the 10, by the way, like in at least in this particular deck, the reflection is that 10 represents completion. Okay, and the pentacles are the physical world: sight, smell, seeing, tasting, touching. I repeated that, but yeah. And so again, there's a completion here. There's a completion here in this physical world, and accepting that and embracing that is difficult. Okay, but it is finished. It is finished. This is the card of culmination. Okay, so that what you are afraid of losing, it is complete. It's complete in what it's meant to be, what it's meant to do. How you've gone as far as you're meant to go, in this with these people, with this particular thing that has been built, this particular structure. Perhaps it's a particular ideology. Maybe it's a religious space or spiritual space. A number of things, different, hobby or interest that you're parting ways with. Okay, and the poem that was associated with this card is, "Gather round the magic spun, love has grown and all have won. With love and light and harm to none, we do declare our spell is done." You've completed it, and it's okay. It's okay. You've put in exactly what you're meant to put in. It's finished now. And it may feel incomplete because you've been part of it, you've been part of this tapestry, and it feels like, wait, but how can it go on without me? And how can I not be a part of this? And that major FOMO, right? That fear of missing out, and so much in the mind's like, this doesn't make sense. I don't want to leave this. And that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to not want to, and to know that, like, it's time to, and to know that, this is what you're also going to be finding. You're perhaps losing one form, again, like we had in the last reading with Eight of Cups, the departure card. We had all those cups, and it was just like, you're leaving, but again, it was like nothing's really lost, and that life moves with you. Okay, and that it's a bit more of the illusion. It's changing form. We had that with where we saw that stream in the Devil card. We had the change of form. Okay, the contents have spilled out, and it created this beautiful flowing river, right? And so there's a shift, there's a transformation here. And so, yes, the grief is absolutely real, and the loss is real, and you will not be left empty. You will feel it, you'll move through it, and you are on to your next phase. And this next phase is going to bring, you're going to have this. You're not going to lose this. It's changing form. You're still going to have this, and you're going to find a new version of this, and all will be well. Okay? So that's what we have there. Our next question that came through, okay, the next question that came through was, how can I move through this loss gracefully? How can I move through this loss gracefully? And we end up with the Hermit in reverse. And just so you can see what the Hermit card looks like here. Okay, and then we've got it in reverse. All right, and so the Hermit is the Hermit examines the nature of the soul. Okay, that's what the Hermit does. The Hermit examines the nature of the soul. It is the card of seclusion. Oftentimes this is representing a time to go inward, a time of introspection. Okay, and so what I took from that with those things being present here for us is that focusing on and clarifying the higher purpose in this loss, change, or transition is going to help you move through this loss gracefully. So really focusing in on the higher purpose. Again, the Hermit examines the nature of the soul. From a soul level perspective, from your overall soul's journey, from a soul blueprint, so to speak, that cosmic alignment, that cosmic design. Focusing on that higher purpose, like what's happening here, what is this movement forward, really doing in your journey, and being able to focus on that as well is going to help bring balance through this loss. You're going to be feeling, right, many emotions. Okay, you're going to be grieving, and you're going to be grieving for a reason, and you're grieving for a higher purpose. Okay, take your time. Take your time and really dive into this. Okay, remembering your why is going to be really helpful and important. And so if you can, again, kind of almost anchor it as if that higher purpose is what's holding you and supporting you through this time and through this transition, and it's that higher purpose is helping you move through, right? And I don't know, that grace feels like flow in water. to me, and just this like ease. And so anchoring into that higher purpose, really going inward and allowing that time for yourself to sink in and connect with that as you go ahead and move forward is going to be helpful here, okay? And the poem that went with this card, it says, "New moon tethers darkened night, truth revealed in lantern light. Stillness roams as instincts flow. Move within, find what you know." Okay, so from a soul level, you know that this transition is right for you. Okay, your soul is clear about how and why moving forward is the way, and is for your highest good. Okay, let's see, we mentioned that already. And again, all of that knowledge and wisdom is on the inside. Okay. And this also happens to be a card that's associated with Virgo, which I find really perfect since we just had the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. Okay, and again, we were focusing there on a time to go deeper into truth and listen to that inner knowledge, and so our inner wisdom. And so here we are doing that. Okay, so going to be important here to focus on self-care, good boundaries. Okay, showing up for yourself, taking time for yourself, really giving yourself that time and space for this grief, for this change, for this transition, okay, and embrace what you've been avoiding, okay, and it's kind of the whole of what we're talking about here, I'd say. All right, so that's the Hermit card. Our third question that came through was, how can I feel supported? Okay, how can I feel supported? And we've got the Four of Wands. Okay, we've got the Four of Wands. Okay, and four is stability. Okay, that supports stability, that supports you. And Wands is energy, passion, virility. It reflects desire, romance, career, intentions, beliefs, and divinity. Okay, and so for me, the first thing that I saw when I saw this card, upon asking that question of how can I feel supported, it was surrounding yourself with friends, loved ones, family, whatever makes sense for you in this particular situation, surrounding yourself with that. Perhaps it means trying something new, and especially if it's something that you've been thinking about doing or checking out or getting involved with. You know, this is definitely, I think, an encouragement to move forward in that. Trying new hobbies and interests. Okay, maybe for some of you it means saying yes to that trip that you're contemplating. Maybe it means yes, go to that wedding. Maybe it means yep, go on that date. Whatever that is, but allowing yourself to move into these things that would light you up during this time, and to be really clear that this is not about avoiding or distracting or numbing. This isn't to replace any sense of loss. It's not meant to like fill the gap. We're not wanting to prevent the feeling. This is about supporting us as we do feel, as we take the time to feel. This helps balance it out a bit, so we're not completely weighed down just by the challenging emotions that are arising. Okay, so this is a supportive intention, okay, not a replacement or distraction intention. Okay, so that's really important, because the distracting kind of prevents the work. If we're overdwelling, a distraction can be good, but we don't want to distract from feeling in general. We can handle the emotions, we can feel it, and they're not going to kill us despite how intense they can feel. Okay, they're not going to kill us. We can survive really hard feelings. We can. Additionally, the poem that was associated with this: summer parties burning bright, enchantment, laughter, sweet delight. Bells of balls are dancing round, euphoric revelries now abound. Okay, and it says the Four of Wands appears when there is reason to celebrate. And that's beautiful. To remember that this is a happy change that's happening, even though it comes with difficult emotions and moving forward is challenging, perhaps. It's for a good reason. It's what's coming is going to bring you even more joy. All right, so there's grief, there's sadness in the loss, and that can be painful, for sure. And it's also a time of celebrating of what we're stepping into, and what this next phase of our journey is looking like, and what it includes for us. Okay, and so this card is the sustainability of foundational fire. Okay, so we're paving the way here, and again, we've started that new 36-year cycle. Okay, and so again, we're closing chapters and we're starting new ones, and we're establishing something here, and that's going to really be for the long haul, and that is worth celebrating. That is worth celebrating. Okay, and our not quite last question. I thought it was going to be, and it's not. There was like a little bit more, like we have an epilogue with this particular poll today. So in theory, this is framed as the last question, but we do have one more that comes up. Okay, and so the question that came through here was, how will I be remembered? Which I thought, like, that's fascinating. You know, because it's like I had a question that I thought would make sense, and it was like, nope, like, this is the one that came through, and I'm like, how will I be remembered? Like, I'm like, that sounds so dramatic and intense. Like, this isn't the end of the life, you know? But hey, like, and then what came out, I'm like, oh, this is awesome, right? So this is the question that is wanting to be asked, which is, how will I be remembered? And we pull the Knight of Wands. We pull the Knight of Wands. This is how you are going to be remembered from whatever space you are parting ways with, you know, whatever that is for you, relationships, jobs, careers, places, whatever it is. This is how you will be remembered, okay? This is the Protector card, all right? And the poem says, off and away do speedy flames fly, streaking comets across velvet sky. Make haste when timing's right, you choose, because there's nothing at all to lose. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You're moving in the right direction. This is the right thing. This is the right thing for you. It's the right thing to do, okay? And we've got the Knight of Wands is an endorphin rush, an explosive personality who uses passion's ignition to light their way. All right? So this is how others saw you. You know, they saw you as this explosive personality, this person. They could see this passion, this light that you were offering. Okay, it was good vibes, good feelings. All right, that's how they saw you. That's how you impacted them. That's what they loved about you. Okay, what also came through is that you gave your all to this. You gave all that you had. You poured your heart and soul into the work, the space, whatever that you have been tending to for however long you've been tending to it. You've given it everything you have, and now is the time where we're redirecting some of that back into ourselves, back into our passions that perhaps we've been putting off or not giving full attention to, in the ways that we're being called to and step into at this time. All right, and so this is, you know, pouring that same you know, virality and passion into those endeavors, you know, and you're gonna experience, this is the thing, this is where there's in this sense, there's not that loss. From a higher sense, there's not that loss, because you're gonna still bring that passion and that love and that light through, and people are gonna still be attracted to that, and you're gonna be even enjoying it even more, you know, and you're gonna find your crew and your new people or your new connections, and you're gonna have more upon more, and it's good upon good. Okay, that's what we've got here. Okay, so how will I be remembered? This is how you're being remembered, and I think that's really beautiful. So I hope that makes whoever that's for, I just really hope that makes you feel really good and seen and heard for all that you've given. And it's interesting. I'm seeing a connection with the next card that pulls up, and I'm gonna remind me to come back to that. I'm gonna make a note right here. Come back to Knight of Wands. All that you've given. I'm making a note because it makes sense. Perfect. I love this. All right. So, all right, I thought that was the end. I thought that was like the completion. I turned the page, and then like I just had this, like, as if somebody was like gonna ask the question, okay, like, but now what? like, now what? You know? And so like that came, and it's like, okay, so this is what this card is for. Cannot make this stuff up. Now what? We get the 8 of Cups again. This is how we ended the last reading, with the 8 of Cups, okay? And I'll turn it this way just for, it came out in reverse, and I'll share what that's about. But we get the card of departure. I mean, it really, it can't be more clear, right? So now, well, now it's time to go. It's time to leave. It's time to move forward. It's time to move forward. It's time to take action, you know? And for those who, you know, the second they say, okay, it's time to go, the time is now. And for anyone who has that twisty little, like that twisty bit in the stomach, I'm like, because when I wrote those words, it's time to leave, and I'm like, I felt that, and I was like, oh, you know, and I'm like, okay, let's go on here, and I'm like, is this mine or is this, you know? And I'm like, I think this is what's speaking through. Like there's something here. So whoever's feeling this, this knot around leaving and departure, we're just gonna zoom right into that, okay? That is fear. So that's good. That's information. That knot is information. It's like, oh, like the nervousness, the nerves. It's not wrong. The wrong would be like that, like death pit, you know, where you're like, this is not right, you know. That's not, no. The nervous twist is like, yep, this is going to require courage. This is going to require me to move through fear. That's what that is. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Okay. You don't have to do this perfectly. All right. It doesn't have to come out word perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you're going to feel so much better after you say the words and you take the step. Like, so much is going to fall away, okay? And you're going to be okay if that it went imperfectly. So it's going to be okay. It just needs to come out, all right? And I wanted to go really deep, or much deeper into that feeling, okay? And this was like a clear message that this knot is not about the loss, actually. Like, you have those feelings of loss, all that other stuff that we've talked about, that's there for you, but this specific knot is not about your fear of loss. This knot is not about your fear of the future and moving into something unknown. This knot is specifically guilt disguised as nervousness that is rooted in insecurity and self-esteem issues. Okay? Clear. That is what this knot is. And the knot, furthermore, is specifically about who you're afraid of disappointing. All the people that you think you're letting down, that's what this twisty knot is really about. Okay, again, we still have all that other grief and stuff, 100%. But this knot, that thing that's just like, ugh. Okay, that's what's going on here. All right. It's okay to disappoint people. All right, this came up in a reading a few days ago. Okay, it's okay to disappoint people. All right, and a way to help us kind of move through that and accept that is thinking about how we deal with disappointment and how we feel when we are disappointed by others, you know, and what we're thinking about them, you know, and how we're impacted, and perhaps aspects of abandonment that might come up, and just pain, and what other narratives and stories it ends up feeding, you know, like, oh, this always happens, or this never works out for me, you know, this kind of stuff, right? And how painful disappointment is and can be, right? And so oftentimes, like, when we really don't want to disappoint others, we're wanting to prevent them from feeling that pain of disappointment. We're wanting to prevent them from that, and also we're wanting to prevent ourselves from being that person, right? We know how we feel when we're disappointed, and we don't want to be the bearer of bad news. We don't want to be the reason. We don't want to be the cause. We don't want to be that person, right? And so, like, all of that is that knot, right in your stomach, right in that solar plexus, all right in your belly there, where you're just like, oh man, like, you don't want to have to be that person. Okay, so there's an invitation here to really sit with acceptance around that, looking into, really going into how you feel when others make decisions that disappoint you, you know, finding spaces of grace, finding an okayness when people make decisions that are really the best for them, you know, And sometimes we have thoughts like, oh, they're being selfish, or they're not thinking about this, that, and the other thing, and we're focused on the responsibilities perhaps that they're leaving. And you know, like, sure, there are times when people drop the ball. People drop the ball on things, and people absolutely disappoint us in ways that are really unfortunate, and that absolutely happens, right? And we have to hold that, and there's imperfection, and that's life. And also sometimes we experience disappointment when people are really doing like the right thing, you know, and moving in that direction, and that can be hard, and we can have a lot of feelings come up around that. And that might be for some of you too here, you know, the guilt of what you're leaving others with. You know, feeling like you're abandoning responsibilities. And that, friends, that is, oh Lord, that is the work. That is the work. We go back to like, what is actually ours to tend to, right? What is ours to tend to, and you're allowed. And this is, again, this is about the permission. This is really doing the deeper work on what's holding us back from feeling like we have permission to step in. I ran out of space on my phone. Sorry about that. To complete the sentence I was in the middle of, I had to go back and like, what was I saying? Digging into what's holding us back from feeling like we have permission to step into our next iteration, okay? To step into our next phase, our next purpose, to follow the flow, to move in the direction and align with our cosmic design, right? Really doing that deeper work. And here's the thing, a few things that came to mind as I was figuring this out. One, again, like in our previous reading or time before that, don't use others as the excuse to not do what you know you need to do. Okay, so the people you're worried about burdening, perhaps, don't use them as the excuse. Okay, they'll sort it out. Okay, because either like if they're in the position where it's like, you know, it's not right for them, and they're needing to work through their own thing and move out, great. Like, sometimes, like, you never know what the catalyst is for that movement, right? And so, like, you know, don't trauma bond. You know, I mean, it's already happened, right? That's what's keeping you in it. It's okay. Free yourself. Heal and free. You know, free and heal, whichever one you need, both in conjunction. You know, and that can give them the courage and inspiration to do the same thing. And if if they are in the right spot for themselves, like, they'll sort it out. And you know what? Whatever vacancy or whatever you're afraid of leaving, like, do not be over controlling here, right? And like, allow for life to fill in the space. Okay, allow for that next iteration and movement to come in behind you, right? Like, natural flow, natural order, right? The only thing constant is change. Okay. There's a story that I share sometimes that a friend had relayed to me, and you know, it was, I sometimes think I get the order of this wrong, but it's not the point. The point is that, you know, it's like, you know, it's like her and a friend walk into a restaurant, and maybe they're seated by the window, and actually the friend really wants, I think I have this backwards, but it's fine. The friend really wants to sit somewhere else, but didn't want to, you know, be a burden and make a hassle for the wait staff. And anyways, they ended up asking, and they moved. And then this couple comes in, actually right behind them, like, oh, a window seat, we were hoping for one. Right? And so it's just I love that story of just that cosmic realignment, where we can be so afraid to like rock the boat or go in the direction of what we really desire, the direction we desire to move into, the direction that's calling us, right? And lo and behold, when we do that and when we follow that creates space for someone else's desire to also be fulfilled, right? And so again, don't use others for the excuse to not move in the direction and do what you know you need to do. Okay, and coming back to that Knight of Wands, thank you for reminding me, right? That Knight of Wands, remember all you have given. When you are so worried about disappointing everybody else and what you're leaving them with, remember all you have given. Remember who you've been in that space, okay? Remember who you've been in that space, in that relationship, what you've contributed to all of that, to that structure, to that movement, to that energy, to all of it, you know, to what's been given, to what's been provided, just everything around that, okay? There's an infinite number of words that can be said here, but don't forget, what you have given, okay? You are allowed to move in the direction of your dreams, of your calling, of your next iteration, of your next phase, of your next purpose. We're all moving, like, we're all allowed to do that, okay? And things change and structures change, and you know, I'm a big fan, people have heard me say this before, I'm a big fan of letting the chips fall where they may. If things are not able to be sustainable, you know, with people moving in and how they need to move, and if things collapse, who's to say that it's not meant to, you know, and that something new forms in its place, something that can be sustainable, something new can be resurrected there. All right, so again, we are letting go of controlling that process, okay? All right, I'm afraid I'm going to run out of space again. I'm going to deep dive into that. I thought I cleared enough. I did not. Here we are. So I'm going to leave it there, friends. We're here. I am here for you, all right, in all the ways that I can be. Again, if you're interested in a private reading to dive deeper into some of this stuff, that information is on my channel's homepage, and you can read the description and in the links there. Check it all out if that calls to you. Otherwise, I believe in you. You can do this, and it's okay. It is all okay. I love you, all right? And I'll see you in the next one.